Hello everyone, it is Thursday evening. You're live here on the Dixiebell Paint Facebook page with Brushed by Brandy. My name is Brandy and I am a Dixiebell brand ambassador, and every Thursday night I come here live with you and we paint together. And so this Thursday we are working on this secretary desk. We started this a couple weeks ago, and what I've been doing is working on a piece start to finish. So you guys got to see me take this straight from my stockpile. We got it prepared for paint. We put this base coat on last week, and this week we're going to perfect it. So last week was kind of our conceptualizing. You guys saw me make some color changes midway through. I got my basic color scheme kind of laid out, but tonight what we're going to do is we're really going to perfect this and clean all this up, smooth it all out. So after I got off with you guys last week, I did go through and I took all my drawers out and I painted around my body. So you guys ask a lot of times. I did it before my paint dried, so no drawers were stuck shut. As I blended my drawer, I then came back and took it out and then painted inside the body. So our color scheme on this one, we are using Dixiebell Midnight Sky, Stormy Seas, Hurricane Gray, and this lightest color is Driftwood. That's our color scheme. So tonight I'm going to start up high. I'm going to start at the top of the piece. Last week we started kind of around the bottom, and tonight I'm going to start around the top of the piece. I'm looking for...
Is this painting from a distance?
Yes. I'm going to paint from the other room and just talk about it. No, I'm sorry. I forgot my sanding sponge. So you guys, I've recently discovered these. These are the Dixiebell sanding sponges. I love them. I don't know why I didn't order these sooner. I've always bought the hardware store ones, but these are perfect. I like them because they're flexible, so I can come in if there's a curved edge and I can wrap an edge with them. If I'm doing a curved front like this, it conforms really easy. These are 220 grit, so they're the perfect grit for this light sanding, and I recommend a light sanding like this in between each coat. So I just take, and these are like $1. I just feel so silly that I just am touching onto the sanding pad. So I go through after each coat and I will lightly sand my coat of paint. I'm not using any pressure on this. I'm really just brushing my piece. I'm taking down any roughness that's in my paint. Getting rid of that really chalky feeling. So I'm feeling like now that I've got my colors laid out, I could kind of make some decisions. I want to kind of expand on the driftwood up top. It's part of why I'm going to start up high tonight. And kind of even that out a little bit. So once I take that, then I will take a rag. And I will come back and just wipe that. This is a damp rag. And I will just wipe that little bit of dust away that I made. So none of that is stuck in my next layer of paint. Okay. I have out a screwdriver so I can open the drawers if needed. But what I'm going to use tonight, you guys are going to see me use a ton of brushes. So if you've seen me blend paint before, I usually use one brush for each color. And those are my Dixiebell minis. So I've got out 4 of those because I am using 4 colors. And then I use the Dixiebell Oval Medium for blending the paint together. This one's a little damp, and I like a dry brush for this. So let me find a dry one. Sorry about that. So I like a dry brush for blending my paint together. So I use the Oval Medium for that. So really, I mean, the main brushes of the Dixiebell line that I use are the Oval Medium and the Mini, Oval Medium Mini. So that's what I've got out tonight. I've got out a spray mister. So these are hairstylist misters, and you can get these off Amazon. I have a link in my Amazon shop. And these just lay on the water a little bit thinner, so you don't get quite so much water on your piece when you're blending. So like I said, I'm going to start up high tonight in this area, and that's because I want to blend this light color out a little bit more. Last week we kind of focused down on the bottom, and I like how that's laid out better, but as I got to the top I kind of started neglecting it. So and that's where that conceptualizing comes in handy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my piece with some water. I don't want any drag when I'm doing this, so I've got a nice thin coat of water on, and now I'm just going to lay on some Dixiebell driftwood. So this is going to basically be a repeat of what we did last week, but with a little more finesse to it. So the first thing I do is I start by just laying my paint colors on, getting them where I basically want them. I'm not trying to blend anything at this point. I'm just laying my colors on. I'm going to carry the driftwood out a little bit farther than I want it because it's going to start blending on the outer edge into the hurricane gray. And over here, it's going to start blending out into Stormy Seas. I talked about this little keyhole last week, and actually you might have seen it when I was just sanding, is I will paint over that keyhole because I can come back with a little bit of steel wool or that fine sanding sponge and just sand over the top of it, and it will take that little bit of paint off. So now I'm going to come in with my next color. This is Hurricane Gray. I'm going to come over here and start working my Hurricane Gray in. So I'm really not using very much paint. When I am working colors together, I'm not going to sit here and brush them into a line because that will create nothing but a line. I want to pull these colors into each other. So I will pull the Hurricane Gray over, I will pull the driftwood into the hurricane, and then I can true up this color with a little more paint if I want to.
Okay, question time.
Yes.
More for me now that I've seen it pop up a couple of times.
Yes.
Did you get your hair done?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I so desperately need my hair done, but you should notice if I got my hair done. Mostly because I would have been gone for 4 hours. No, guys, I'm so bad about that stuff. I super need to get my hair done, but I have to sit for 4 hours because I get it straightened and then cut and color, and so I really put it off as long as possible.
Well, putting that blanket up there was probably a bad idea. It gets the reflection of pink and the color on it. So I'm going over your shoulder.
So my workspace is in my garage, you guys, and my garage door has windows on it, which I love. They let in great natural light, but it messes with the camera when I'm on camera. So we cover it with a blanket, but we picked a pink blanket tonight. So it's making everything look a little pinky. Pinky, is that a word?
Oh, it is now.
Yeah, pinky. So I'm adding a little more Hurricane Gray just to darken up this outer edge. And then what I did in there, I haven't added any water because my paint is still nice and wet, but I took this clean dry brush, and you'll see me, I keep drying it off on using my apron as my rag tonight. And I will just feather out these transitions.
Come over your shoulder.
I'm not using any pressure, and I don't have a lot of paint on. You don't want a lot of paint for this. Less is more. Add more paint as you go, but if you can start off, use as little paint as you possibly can. So I've feathered out those transitions right there. I'm going to come over to this side. Put my water bottle, and I'm going to spray my driftwood starting to set up, but I want to feather the driftwood out a little bit. This is my clean dry brush that I'm using. I dry it off. When I start seeing it get a little too much moisture in there, too much paint drag, I will dry off my brush. I made a little bit of water spots with my mister, so I'm just going to feather those back out into my paint because it still has moisture in it. So I just feather those lines out. So now I've got a point over here, pulling a little bit more of the driftwood over. And I'm not even keeping my brush strokes going any one direction. They're kind of all over the place. Because I'm feathering that out. Now if you come back, now it's wet paint, so you're going to have glare off of it and all that. But when you come back, I think that's got a nice soft transition line. I'm trying to get rid of these water spots that I made myself. Thanks, Brandy.
Linda says I'm so talented. Actually, it wasn't me, but since I'm reading it, I'm just going to take it as being me.
What's that?
But you're so talented.
Oh, thanks, Linda, from Sean and I. He is talented, you guys. You guys wait and see. I've been I'm working this spot a little too much, and now it's getting, I'm going to have to add more paint. Clean up those brush strokes, and then I'm going to step away from it and let it dry a little bit and just see how it turns out. And then I'll come over here and work this side a little bit better. We have been working on our house. Sean has been tiling my backsplash, you guys. And I didn't realize what a huge difference a backsplash makes in a kitchen until my backsplash went up. It is stunning. It's a very detailed mosaic tile that he's been laying. And we're gonna hang our range hood. So I just laid on another coat of driftwood. And that was because it was a little thin in spots. I just wanted to even it out. And then I'm going to bring it over here, and this is where I'm going to carry it into the Stormy Seas. So I'm going to carry out the driftwood a little further than I want it. So I've got some wet paint to work with. And then I'll get out my Stormy Seas. Our inspiration for this piece here, I have a gold script transfer that's going to be going onto the front. And then I have a pretty floral drawer liner that's got the shades of blue and gray in it. Actually, I'm going to ask you guys a question about this. My drawers are actually in really good condition. I'm not sure that I want to line them. I thought maybe we could put this on the drawer sides instead. Let me know what you guys think about that.
She was just asking me to do a tutorial on backsplash. No.
Yeah, don't say that, he will. It would be one heck of a tutorial, you guys, because he's been working on it, what, for 4 days now?
Like 4 days. Well, I mean, not solid days, because I have a regular job.
He does have a regular job, you guys. So just after work, he's been coming home and tiling, and it's been 4 solid evenings so far. So far, I say, because it's not even done yet. But it looks amazing. I'm excited to show it, but I didn't want to show it like, you know, while it's in process, because you really have to see the final result to get the like wow factor, you know. It's kind of like whether I show pictures of pieces to customers before it's done. I try not to spoil the wow factor at the very end. So I just added in a little bit of my Stormy Seas, and now I'm going to come back with that same clean dry brush I've been using, because I've been keeping it clean and dry on my apron, and I'm going to feather out this transition. It's a very soft transition already.
So it looks like we have a vote as far as lining the sides of the drawers.
What's the vote?
Yes, doing it.
Do this drawer sides instead? Okay, I like that. So when a drawer box is in good condition, let me pull out a drawer to show you guys. When a drawer box is in good condition, I've got this beautiful wood in here. It's a mahogany. It's got beautiful graining. There's no staining on it. It's got some light spots, but that's because the wood's dried out. If I throw some hemp oil on this and just oil the wood, these are beautiful. But once I line a drawer, they kind of have to stay lined. If I use any kind of adhesive, you can tack it in with thumbtacks or like glue dots. It's not quite as nice and permanent. So I think I like the idea of doing the sides on this as well and just letting this wood be beautiful drawers. If I line the inside of a drawer, it's usually because it's got some kind of damage and it needs to be lined. Otherwise, I like to leave my drawer boxes alone.
So Linda wants to know how long we've been building our house and if we have an end in sight, basically.
Oh my gosh. Really?
And like I tell everybody, as far as the end in sight, it's usually the day before you sell it.
Yeah, you know what?
And we're not selling anytime soon.
We chose to do this knowing that we would probably never be done with this house. That was part of our decision. We like having projects, and our last house we had remodeled and kind of run out of projects on it. And we were, I don't know, bored. Is that possible? I'm going to come over and fix this. My paint is drying and I don't really like it. I'm going to add a little bit more water. And I'll just come over and basically redo it. I'm going to redo the same thing you guys already saw me do. Carry my driftwood over a little too far. Add a little bit of hurricane. So as far as being done, no, we will never be done. That was part of the plan. We wanted a house that we could put something into. But we live in California, and the house that we built is on 5 acres in California. It's 3,500 square feet. 3,500 square feet on 5 acres in California is not a house that we could afford. So what we did is we had a contractor build it to a shell, and then we are doing all of the finish work ourselves. So we've lived here for what, like 8 months? Yeah, probably 8 months. And we are doing all the finishes ourselves inside, all the tile work, all the, you know, shower and tub surrounds, all the flooring. That's what we do for fun. Sean and I joke, like, usually our date night involves like power tools and stuff. I mean, like, you know, working together. We work really well together. So I carried the driftwood down a little further. I trued it up just a little bit. And I like that. Now I'm going to carry this Stormy Seas down on this side, but I'm going to start working in some Midnight Sky also.
Trisha's really trying to get me on this tutorial bit. See, you're not going to be done anytime soon, so how about that tutorial?
You know what? We've actually like kind of talked about it, about, you know, him doing a YouTube channel or something, because Sean's talents are totally different than mine. Mine are more artistic and...
Mine are behind the camera.
Yeah, Sean's really good at holding my phone. We don't want to let that go to waste. No, but that maybe he does do a YouTube channel with, you know, how-to videos and stuff. Some of these projects just take a really long time, would be hard to capture on video. Video editing takes a long time. And I've had a couple of videos.
Is it exciting to watch someone else sleep, though? Can I just make a YouTube channel about me sleeping?
That would probably go viral, huh?
That's true.
It's just your luck. So now this is Midnight Sky that I'm bringing out. So this is the last of my 4 colors that I'm introducing. Now I will have a little bit of everything on here. So I'm just going to kind of start working it into this corner over here. I'll carry it up a little bit onto my top. My paint's getting a little sticky.
It is a little warm.
Yeah, it's sweating.
You know, let's cry about it. It was
raining
a week ago.
Like last week, and now it's super hot. My kids are coming in. It's hot.
Oh no.
I can't play outside because it's hot.
Yeah.
They're on summer vacation, by the way. Which apparently, like...
Just means bug mom.
Yeah.
That's what that...
I mean, summer
AKA.
vacation, like, we have stuff planned, but not every day. So I'm going to go down to the floor right now, and because I'm going to start working lower. I'm just kind of focusing on little spots at a time. I'm not trying to work my whole piece at one time. So down here, I want that Midnight Sky to carry over a little bit more. I'm going to blend this spot out. Okay, and then I'll bring in my Stormy Seas down here. So I'm kind of working like one drawer at a time, maybe. Again, I'm not using brush strokes in any one direction because I don't want to create like lines. If anything, I'm trying to make the lines go away on this. So I will use my brush vertically, horizontally, sometimes even a cross hatching. I mean, there's no rules. Everything is fair game to get rid of those brush strokes because you want to pull your colors into each other. I'm going to pull this way, I can pull this, and then I can feather out where I just pull them into each other. And it makes a beautiful transition. So Sorry if I get quiet, you guys. I actually really do concentrate when I'm doing this. I might start getting a little quiet tonight.
So what brushes are you using?
So I use always I use the Dixiebell Mini for laying my paint on. And then I use the oval medium is what you see me coming in and working those transitions out with. So the mini and the oval medium, like if you have to invest in 2 Dixiebell brushes, those would be my choices for sure. Occasionally you'll see me take out like a flat small or something if I'm getting into a small space, but I would say I probably do 90% of my painting with the mini and the oval medium.
And colors.
Colors, we've got Stormy Seas, Midnight Sky, Driftwood, and Hurricane Gray. Beautiful palette of grays and blues. I love working in these colors. They all have similar undertones, so they're complementary to each other. We talked about that last week, is not just looking at what your actual color is, but what are the undertones in it, because when you start thinning a color out, the undertones will start coming out. So I carried this driftwood down just to make kind of a highlight out of it, but now I'm going to totally blur it out. So that just made a nice little highlight in there. This is a little bit, this is the Stormy Seas that I'm working in. I'm going to push this drawer in. My Hurricane Gray over here is getting a little bit neglected, so I'm going to come over here and work with that for a little bit.
What are you using? What brush are you using right now?
Right now I'm not using any because I lost my brush.
Didn't.
1, 2, there it is. Okay.
Oh, that and a comedian too.
So
all right.
I'm going to go back to my Hurricane Gray and we'll work this corner right here. So just like we did up at the top, I'm going to carry my Hurricane Gray over a little bit.
And there's already paint on it.
Yes, there's already paint on the brush. I'm keeping my brushes dedicated to their color, trying to anyways. You know, as you go through and start working them into each other, they'll get some of the other colors on it, but that's okay. I don't worry about trying to keep them super clean and pure while I'm doing this. I paint directly out of my containers even. People have asked me why I don't use like FIFO bottles, which are like squeeze bottles you can transfer your paint into. I just go through paint too quickly to make it worthwhile to take the time to transfer it.
And why are you painting with the drawers in?
Because I'm blending over the front, and if I take the drawers out, it's going to be really hard to find those transition points. And so if I'm doing a solid single color finish, I will take my drawers out. But when I'm blending, you need to have the drawers in. Because I want this transition to carry down onto this drawer and make sense. And then while my paint is still wet, I will come through and I will take these drawers out and I can paint in around the frame of my piece. So my frame absolutely does get painted. I make sure I don't paint my drawers shut. I'm still going to do all of that, but right now the most important thing is getting these paint colors blended together. So right here is kind of an interesting spot because I kind of have a point where 3 colors come together. So I just threw in a little bit of Stormy Seas. I've got my Hurricane Gray, and then I've got a little bit of this Driftwood. I think those feather together really pretty. So I'm making a few color changes here tonight, but I, got my basic color scheme laid out on our last round. So for the most part, it's the same as we did last week. Now that I'm working down here, I've kind of finished up with my Driftwood, so I'm in this Hurricane Gray and Stormy Seas down at the bottom. So I'm looking at this and I'm feeling like I need a little more, I need to carry this light patch out a little bit better. So I'm going to come up here, get it wet again so my paint is workable. And I'm going to carry this light patch out a little bit further. And I'm doing this because I'm thinking about the shape of my transfer that's going to go on here, and I don't want to have this like little tiny patch in the middle. Okay, so I have driftwood on my brush, but I'm using it to, I'm really blending on my piece, mixing colors on my piece. So you can do this, you can take these and pour them into a dish and mix them separately, but I'm just using my piece as a palette to mix my colors on. So I've got my brush going kind of in all directions. I'm just expanding this little highlight in the middle. Okay, that brush has a little too much paint on it, and that's where the dry brush comes in handy. Just to come back in and feather that out. I like that better. Now I've got a nice light spot in the middle there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Get a tiny, tiny bit more paint. Turn my piece a little bit. You know, one thing that I think this takes that's important is a soft hand. And that's something I can't teach. That's something you kind of have to play around with. But I really have no pressure on my brush right now at all. I'm just letting the tips of it work the paint out.
So Marilyn wants to know if you were an art major in school.
I wish. I think I would have enjoyed being an art major, but I don't know. No, I actually worked for a bank in school, and so in college, so I majored in finance. That makes sense, right? I always took, like, you know, art classes when I could as electives and stuff, but never, you know, just for personal enjoyment, not.
What kind of water do you use? Just regular tap water?
Just regular tap water. We're on a well here. But you know, my last house was on city water, and that was fine. So no, I don't have any preference as far as water. You'll see some people, I do not have vinegar in my water, but you can add vinegar into your water if you want to make your paint kind of separate. It makes the paint kind of pull apart from itself. That's an interesting look at. So you'll see, I'll go back and forth over the same spots as they start drying. If I see that they need a little bit of, like, I like that. I just darkened that Stormy Seas up. I'm sorry, Midnight Sky. And it just made that corner like a little bit more dramatic. So I could do that over here with the gray. Kind of got heavier on the blues over here, a little heavier on the gray on this side. So there's that cross hatching where I'm pulling the paint into each other. So that's really pretty. So now I've just really got this bottom section down here, and it's primarily my Midnight Sky. So I'm going to lay on that Midnight Sky. Just a clean coat. I just added some water just so my brush glides a little bit easier. I always use water, even if I'm doing a solid single color finish, I will always use water on my second coat. That's just because on top of itself, the paint can get kind of, I don't know, it tends to stick more. And so just misting your surface, just let your brush glide a little easier. You can also use a damp brush. So I kind of focused on one drawer at a time. And this is like the grand finale of it. I'm going to carry my hurricane gray down into this Midnight Sky. That'll be kind of the last you see of the hurricane. Bring it over a little bit. So we made some, you know, some color changes on this layer, but the coverage of the paint is good enough that, you know, even if it's not exact, you can't tell that in some spots I've put a gray over a blue or a blue over a gray, or so I'm just working out the midnight sky and the hurricane gray in this corner. I like to keep the corners kind of nice and dramatic, and you can also use waxes to kind of emphasize your colors a little bit. So if I were to add like some black wax to this corner, it's going to darken up that corner, and it'll look like just a deeper shade of the paint color. So this is the hurricane gray. I'm pulling that down a little bit. I'll kind of wrap that up, and this is my Stormy seas. They kind of all come together right here, but it's a really pretty little spot. Really like it. See how that we've got the Stormy seas, the hurricane gray, and the midnight sky are all in this one little area. Just a small tiny spot on a drawer. It looks really pretty. There's no reason you have to blend in straight lines or anything. It can be, you know, curvy lines and, you know, kind of all over your piece. Okay, so I like how the colors are right there. So now I'm just going to come back with my clean dry brush. I have to say this last drawer is probably my favorite. And that's, you know, I find that's how it is. Like when you come in and you start painting, you find your groove. And you just get comfortable with the technique, and then it starts really, you know, coming into itself. So I really like this last drawer the best. There's a couple spots up here that I'm not really happy with, and I'll probably just touch those up. But I mean, I love what's going on down here.
Your arm ever get tired?
My husband will attest to this. The last couple nights I've actually been sleeping with an ankle or a wrist brace on. When I was pregnant with my kids, I started getting pregnancy carpal tunnel, and I noticed that I still feel it come back every once in a while. So yes, my wrist does bother me sometimes when I'm painting a lot.
In here, I thought you were just getting ready for league.
And I'll sleep in my bowling league. He jokes it's my bowling brace. I do sleep in a wrist brace occasionally, and it tends to be, if I just wear it for, you know, a night or two, that it will feel better, and then I can carry on and ruin it again. All right, so I put the midnight sky down on the feet, and I wanted a dark color on this foot because I'm going to use some gold in this ball and claw foot. I'm going to put some gold in there, and I really think it's going to pop against the dark foot. So this is kind of our basic color layout. These places that I don't really care for the blend on, I can come back and I will add a little bit of water, and I will work the paint back out again. So those had a few spots where it just wasn't as smooth as I would like. Right off on my apron. I've already got paint on the body of my piece, and it's still a fairly new paint, so just adding that little bit of water just reactivates the paint a little bit. I don't have to lay on brand new paint at all.
So to clarify for Sheila, did you say gold?
Gold? Yeah, but it's going to be gilding wax, Sheila. Does that count? Does that count? Yes, it will be. I use...
And Sheila actually says that your right arm has built up so much strength that that's why you keep your left arm out of the picture.
Yeah,
basically that one's bigger than the other. It just makes sense.
So, and then I'll come around here and I'll kind of do the same thing on the sides. The sides are a little bit darker, but I do need to clean this up because I have more of the gray on this side, so I'm going to do more of the gray over here. So I'll go ahead and do this side with you guys too.
So this is kind of the perfect piece to paint some happy clouds.
Happy clouds?
Yeah.
This is more
all the stormy stuff going on.
An angry storm cloud kind of piece. Which I'm more of an angry storm cloud kind of girl. Like, I love dark, dingy days when, you know, the sun doesn't come out all the way and it's overcast. And yeah. I'm not a ray of sunshine kind of person.
Really?
I like laying on the couch in my pajamas and...
No.
Yeah. Sounds awesome, huh? I'm gonna have to
Not
go,
really.
guys. I don't really want to paint anymore. I just, want to sit on my couch.
I just want to sit on the couch.
No, I love like the cloudy, overcast weather. You should see our bedroom. I mean, we have a ton of windows in our bedroom, and every single one of them is like blocked off with that heavy, dark curtain.
Yeah, you know how much money we could have saved by just not putting windows in?
Yeah, we could have done that, but that affects resale value.
Stupid safety precautions.
I think Sean could have been a ray of sunshine, like if he didn't marry me. You used to like the morning, huh?
Yeah.
Then you had to get a job. And
I had to get a stupid job.
That kind of killed it all.
Yeah.
So this is the Hurricane Gray into the Stormy Seas. I'm pulling them into each other. Getting rid of that. And then I'll just come back and correct that.
Now, are you using one brush or multiple?
So I used one. This was my... What brush was this? This was my... They all start getting...
Well then.
Yeah, they all start getting kind of... you know, mixed up in the end. So I think this was my Stormy Seas brush.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Sounds good.
And so I just used it up there. It was dry enough. It had the right consistency to just blend the paint out. And so I just continued to blend the paint out with my one brush. So that's fairly quick to just doing a side. I'm just going to use these three colors over here. I didn't use the driftwood, and I kind of did it in this curve rather than just a straight line. So this is the Midnight Sky. And then, you know, how it wraps onto the front, you know, actually makes sense. The same colors wrap into the same colors on the front.
Kathy wants you to move to Michigan. Because
Right.
it's rained 22 out of the last 30 days.
Oh, sounds like a stormy.
Send postcards.
Yeah, Sean won't go with me.
I'm good.
So I'd have to file for divorce first.
I have to let the storms come so the lakes fill up so that I can, you know, bask in the sun on the boat.
Sorry, we made a hard and heavy decision once we built this house in California. We're staying in California. Not because we necessarily like love California, but we were born and raised here, so our family is here, our friends are all here. So we are staying in California unless my kids move at some point, and then we will follow them like parent stalkers someday. That's our plan. We actually built the house so that we could close off a side of it.
When the time comes.
Yeah, when the time
Or just
comes.
now. We
talk about, man, we should put that door in now. We could close off the side of the house when the kids leave, and it's on its own HVAC system, and then we can just live in the main portion of the house when our kids are gone. So this is another one of those spots where I've got all three colors coming together: the gray, Hurricane Gray, Stormy Seas, and the Midnight Sky.
Kathy says the lakes are full. Yeah, but there's no sun to enjoy the lake. I don't. I've seen videos on those lakes up that way. No, thank you.
We have full lakes here too.
The oceanic conditions.
Yeah, freezing cold.
Boats at the bottom. Yeah, no, I'm good.
We have a boat. We go to the lake all the time.
Our lakes are like bathtubs compared to those lakes.
We just started the process to put a pool in, and we won't have it for this summer. So we go to the lake quite a bit. So I love this side. It's super pretty. But that was fairly quick for a side. And once it dries, it's just going to be this nice, smooth transition. There's a little stripe of the Stormy Seas right here. All the colors come together down here in the bottom.
So how do you decide what colors you're going to do the most blending on or actually use to blend? Is it kind of just trial and error? Or?
Yeah. Yeah, it, you know, sometimes it ends up being different than what I thought it was going to be. So this side is a little heavier on the blues. So I'll start with the Stormy.
Because to pick up on a comment from earlier, wasn't there some caviar used?
Yeah, I just eliminated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for simplicity, I had put a tiny bit down on just the leg, but for simplicity, I'm just going to eliminate it. I can use black wax in the end if I want to darken the leg a little bit versus adding another paint color. I just saved you guys $10 on an 8 ounce of Dixiebell paint. Sorry, Dixiebell. Kidding, you guys.
And with that,
so this is Stormy Seas. I love Stormy Seas. I will use Stormy Seas when I find that there's like a group of colors that I tend to use a lot. Stormy Seas is one of them, and I try even when I'm like I should pull out some pink. I haven't done pink in a while, and I'll like blend pink to Stormy Seas. So I mean, I get a little repetitive with my colors. Those are the colors that my eye tends towards. They're easier for me to work with. That's beautiful. Stormy Seas can blend blue. It can blend gray, which is hard when people will message me and ask, like, what colors can I blend with? I'm just going to use Stormy Seas because we're talking about it. What colors should I blend Stormy Seas into? You can blend Stormy Seas into blue. You can blend Stormy Seas into gray. You can blend Stormy Seas into black. So it's not as simple as just picking a color. You kind of have to decide, what do you want to pull out of that color? You have to decide what you want your dominant color to be. So say I want it to be mostly gray. Okay, you can pick shades of gray, and then you can pick shades of gray that have other undertones. So it's never just as simple as what color should I blend this with. It's what color do you want to pull out of the other colors you're using.
So where do you get your coasters, your wheels?
Those are in my Amazon shop. I'm hearing people are having a hard time finding in my Amazon shop. They're from Amazon. They're about $25 for a set of 4. Also here you can get them at Harbor Freight. So the other side of this is kind of dark, so I think I'm going to lighten this one up, and I'm going to come back with my driftwood over here, because I can. So this is a change from my base coat, but it's still in the gray family, so I've got a gray base coat. It won't be too hard of a transition. So I'm just going to add this as a little highlight on the side. So I'm thinking when we come back next week, we're going to work the inside of this secretary, and I've talked a little bit about what my plan is for the inside. I'm going to, for the most part, use stain. You can use Dixiebell No Paint Gel Stain over an existing finish. So for the most part, we're going to be using stain and keeping it a wood color, but I am going to add some painted accents on the inside of the secretary. So for a paint stain combo. It's in reasonably good condition, thankfully. But I'm going to show you how you can look to take secretary desks apart and paint the insides of them, and some options for that too. And then we're going to be getting pretty close to putting the transfer on this. Papering the sides of the drawers. Another point about blending is the closer in shade that your colors are, the easier they'll be to blend. So if you're going from, say, a white into a black, that's going to be a really hard transition to blend. If you're going white into a, ivory, that's going to be much easier. So this is a little bit harder transition to blend. The Stormy Seas into the driftwood. Driftwood is much lighter.
So at what point do you realize that you should stop blending before it becomes one color?
If your paint is starting to stick and pulling your base coat of paint out, then you've overworked it, and you should just walk away. And I do get there sometimes. Is
your Amazon store under Brush by Brandy?
It's under Brush by Brandy, but
people can't find it.
I know. That's what I'm hearing, and I don't know why. But then other people will tell me they can, so I don't know. I will post a link when I get off. I've also put my affiliate link at the top if you guys are interested in ordering these 4 colors. They are Driftwood, Stormy Seas, Hurricane Gray and Midnight Sky. And you can also go onto the Dixiebell website and you can use the Find a Retailer function. There are retailers nationwide. If you want to find your local retailer, you can input your zip code and use that to find your local retailer.
Polly says you make it look so effortless. Well, maybe that was for me. Maybe I just make this look so effortless.
See, I stress out because there's been parts of this that I've had to go back over again, and that's realistically what it is. It's this back and forth, you know, switching my brushes, adding a little more paint here, a little water there, keeping an eye on small sections, like I'm just blending this little corner out right here. I haven't paid attention to this up here. I'm going to come back and do that in just a minute.
Where do you find your pieces?
All over trash piles and mostly questionable neighborhoods throughout Sacramento.
Sorry for the camera shake. I feel like Santa Claus with the bowl of jelly.
Oh.
Okay, that's just not funny.
Sorry, I didn't offend Santa.
Wise guy, here we go with the comedic part.
That part is true. Usually I drive to the most questionable areas around Sacramento to pick up pieces. My kids have learned that they need to watch outside the window for curbside finds as we're driving. You're okay that I teach our children that, right?
Yeah, you know, like the time we went down to the city.
Oh.
And I had to slam on the brakes and kick it in reverse.
Yeah, we were in San Francisco having family pictures.
Which is a couple hours away.
Yeah, it's a couple hours away.
So it's not like it was around the corner.
We had just brought my SUV because we were just having our family pictures taken. But as we're driving, there was this super cute mid-century modern
I don't get it.
Dresser sitting on the curb.
I'll just be honest, this is all you. I don't get the vision.
He doesn't. It's funny because he'll look at stuff like the dining set I brought home the other day. And he's
man.
I just don't see it. What do you want to do with that? And I'm like, no, it's gorgeous. I love it. It's
yes,
fabulous.
Nicole, it's seriously like, okay, pull over now.
Yeah.
Stop traffic, cause accidents, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, so we pulled over on the city street in San Francisco, which there's no parking anywhere in San Francisco. You can't stop without... You have to put your hazards on and block traffic in San Francisco. So we stopped in the middle of the street, opened the hatch of my SUV. We got out the tape measure because it literally was that close. It was like, is this thing gonna fit?
Yeah.
It was a full-size dresser. Shoved it into the back of my SUV. Went and had our family pictures done.
But not with the dresser? Like on the dresser.
That's what we should have done. We were going out to the beach. I should have carried it out to the beach with us.
Yeah, we know how that would end up.
Yeah.
I would carry it out to the beach.
Yeah.
It's a shame that wasn't done.
Sounds super easy. I would do it.
Yeah. I wouldn't let you.
Yeah, so no, I'm always looking, you know. Craigslist has kind of disappeared. It's not really a thing anymore. So not so much, which is actually pretty good. Facebook Marketplace is very prominent. You know, there's other smaller ones like
the dump.
Yeah, no, they don't let you dig there. They have signs all over.
Oh, because that would stop you.
Yeah, they really frown on that.
Yeah.
I carried some paint over onto that edge, so I just feathered that out a little bit.
But in all honesty, no, it's not at the dumps.
No, I look, believe me, but I've learned that it's more valuable for me to get pieces that are in reasonably good condition than to spend hours and hours doing repairs. So I like this. It's a little moody. It's a little uneven in spots, kind of stormy, but I think once we put that gold script transfer on there, it's going to be really pretty. So next week, when we come back, I have to finish the top of this. I don't know what you're showing.
Time.
Oh, your phone is off.
Oh.
So my plan for the inside of this, it has some scratches, but I'm going to lightly sand this, and we're going to put a coat of no paint gel stain, and then I'm going to paint the drawer fronts and stuff. And I will explore this to see if this is one that I can get out.
I'm going to explore it for you and say no.
Yeah, this one looks like it's pretty well attached. So I usually will look at the insides of a secretary desk for the screws or nails that hold it in. You can look at the back. Oh yeah, it's totally stapled in.
So do you have the transfer that you're going to put on this? Can you just do a little sneak peek for everyone?
Absolutely. This is one of the newer Redesign with Prima transfers.
Where'd it come from?
Redesign with Prima.
What?
So I'm going to be teaching you guys, if you're interested in taking in-person classes, in Ontario, California, September 28th and 29th. Dixiebell and Redesign with Prima have teamed up to offer a 2-day conference in Ontario, California in September. There's a Facebook group called Redesign with Prima Conference 2019 that will give you all the details on that. But that is where you will get to actually hands-on use all the Dixiebell products, all the Redesign with Prima products. This is the transfer I'm going to use on here. It's a really pretty script, kind of masculine, with the gold over the blues and grays. And then I've got some really cool hardware that's going to go on here. That's kind of it. So if you guys come back next week, we'll work on the insides, and then we'll get some drawers papered and our transfer on, and get this piece wrapped up. But that was our second coat. Every Thursday night, I'm here live on the Dixiebell page. My name is Brandy. I'm with Brush by Brandy. Go follow my page if you haven't already. But otherwise, you guys, thank you for another good Thursday, and I'll see you guys next week.